Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be making a stop motion animation project out of paper. So let's get started. So I started this project on March 1st, and this video will be a month's worth of progress on this project. I'm not done yet, so I will keep posting every month. And the inspiration for this light box animation actually came from a piece of cucumber. I was eating sliced cucumbers and I happened to hold one up to the light, and I just realized that it looked so pretty and so cool, and I really wanted to make some vegetation inspired by it. I also was inspired by this artist called Harry and Deep D. They are on Instagram and they make some really beautiful whimsical light boxes, so that was another major inspiration. And then also I kind of wanted the vibe of that cyborg animation I made a while ago. So on day one of this project I just started planning out and brainstorming a lot. And it took a lot of brain power to land on something cool, but I came up with this sketch for the cucumber plants, and I think they look really cool. And I also wanted to make this project on watercolor paper to try it out, and I wanted it slightly bigger than my usual pieces, so I got this size. By day 3 I was excited to get started, and I went to the store that evening to go grocery shopping, and I came across this even bigger sheet of watercolor paper, and I decided to grab it because I thought it would be really fun to make this even bigger, and I started sketching out the final detailed sketch. So I decided to sketch outside because the weather is really pretty, and this is what I have so far. I want to add some like human architecture elements, so I think aqueducts, because that could be kind of interesting. It's like they were trying to irrigate some area and maybe something broke and now there's like water everywhere and then these plants grew. I don't know. And then I also have to plan out the character here, and I was thinking about this for a bit, and then I remembered the little cyborg character that I made for my bird animation, and I think it could fit the scene pretty well. And then I also decided that I want to animate this. So I'm gonna have the little guy like walk across, and then something's gonna happen in the middle. I'm gonna figure it out and I'm very excited. So yeah, I'm gonna be animating, and in order to get that to work, I have to make a really thorough, decent sketch so I can make sure everything looks perfect. And at this point, I'm really just brainstorming, trying to figure out the character, figure out the movement, figure out what's going to happen. Over the next few days I outlined the whole sketch in pen, and I kept brainstorming about the cyborg walk. I thought he could walk along this bottom aqueduct, but then it's overgrown, so I thought it could be cool that he walks in on the one in the background, but then does he walk in cautiously? Does he walk in confidently? What is he doing? You know, it's a lot to think about. Before we continue, I just wanted to let you know that I have a Patreon page up with behind the scenes uploads, templates, and if you just want to support me, you can do that there. So check the link out in the description below if you want to show some love. Thank you to all of my paid members for supporting me. Now back to the video. So while I'm brainstorming all of that, I decided to work on a layer. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make any plants move, so I decided to work on the only stationary structures in this light box, which is the aqueducts. So I decided to work on the really far back one because, I don't know, I just wanted to. So I got out the watercolor paper and I started working on the layer. And I've never worked with watercolor paper before. I wasn't sure how I was going to act. I suspected that it would be harder to cut than normal cardstock because it is thicker, and it wasn't too bad. It was a little more difficult, but it really wasn't that bad, and I think it looks cleaner. And it's a little bit different than cardstock because cardstock is really smooth. This has texture on it, and I think that adds to the feel. So I cut out the layer and I decided to keep these little in-between pieces in case I needed them, and I started adding details. I added some darker areas with more watercolor paper, and I got some sketching paper to add shadows. I wasn't sure how it would turn out because watercolor paper is thicker, but it actually lit up really well. I was happily surprised. Then to keep this layer sturdy because it is so big, I'm adding the foam board strips on the back and gluing it on. I decided I wanted to do one more aqueduct while I was brainstorming still, so I made one that was closer to the front. I added a few more details than in the distant one just so it looks closer. And I added these broken parts and I made a little waterfall come out of the broken part, and yeah. I made a little mistake cutting, so I decided to glue a little extra piece of sketching paper in all of these arches because I didn't like how that looked. Adding details, I added little bricks out of sketching paper. This layer was pretty easy and fun. For the water, I like to use tracing paper because it's really thin and it really shines in the light boxes. So I added the tracing paper waterfall. At this point in the process, I started feeling more confident about my ideas, so I started looking for inspiration and planning out my creatures. I knew I wanted birds involved because I always tend to gravitate towards this bird robot idea, so I sketched out the bird from my previous animation just so I have a little reference point, and I had a thought of having a robot bird wading in the water doing something, and then I have some normal birds that aren't robots, and they start attacking it, and then the cyborg guy comes along, hears the racket, sees them, and then he captures either the bird or the robot bird. I'm thinking, actually, now that I'm recording this, I'm thinking that he goes after the robot bird because he needs the scrap parts to help fix himself up because he's a cyborg. So I think I'm gonna go that route, but I found some cool wading birds, some water birds to get inspiration from, and I drew out a rough sketch of what the normal birds will look like, and then I did a rough, very rough idea about the robot bird because I wasn't sure about that. By day 13, I wanted to start on some animation, so I decided to draw some birds flying across in the background because I'm envisioning a lot of birds and a lot of movement amongst all the plant life. I also drew little purple circles where I want birds to be sitting later. So I got these 5 frames of the birds and I just copy pasted them flying across the screen. This was so difficult to get right. The movement felt really weird and awkward, so it took a lot of tries to get them to fly across in a smooth way. But I worked for days on this, I think 3 days maybe. And while I was working, my cat loves to hang out. He shows up a few times in this video. And by the end of day 16, I had it all animated. I will be making this out of paper, but this is the movement. I'm not sure if I love it, but we will come back to it if I don't. On day 17, I went to the library to sketch a little, and this is when I started really refining the robot bird. I figured out the body shape, the head shape, and I came up with something cool. I also did a few frames of the water running in the waterfall, and then I moved over to the tablet to plan out the final draft of the bird. Throughout this whole time, I've been thinking about what this robot bird should be doing, and I came up with an idea that he could have a clear belly, and he could have like a vacuum cleaner kind of throat, and he goes through the water and he sucks up mud and stuff because his job would have been to walk along the aqueducts and clean them, but since the aqueducts are ruined, he's now free wandering in the mud and picking up things. Over the next week or so, I worked on the walk animation for the bird. I started with the legs, and I created the walk animation with one leg, and then I duplicated it, and then added the body, and it turned into this like funky kind of walk, which I kind of like. I wanted to show it sucking up some dirt, so I decided it's gonna walk in, step up onto that little stone pillar that's in the middle, and then it's gonna turn around and then suck up the dirt, and then the birds will start attacking it. I decided that I wanted the foot to turn first, and then the body, and then the head last, so it kind of had this robotic movement, and I created different frames for the face turning, the body turning, everything, and this was so fun. This is the best part so far, and it was really cool seeing it come together because I really like how the movement looked, and I think it turned out great. On day 24, I took all the birds and added them to a big sheet so I had them all together. And I didn't want to finish this video without cutting some paper birds and animating, so that's what I did. I transferred everything onto the laptop. At first I was thinking of using the Cricut machine to cut all these out, but then I decided not to because it would be too much of a hassle to figure it out. So I just traced them from the laptop screen so I can keep them the same size, and I cut them out with the help of my cat, of course. So I have my 4 here. They're not perfect, but I think that just adds character. And I'm going to show you an example of how I'm going to record this. So I have them numbered 1 through 4. This is layer number 4, 3, 2, 1. This is how it's gonna go. Have it here. Line it up in the same spot. Have it line up perfectly there. Take a picture. Have the second one. Take a picture until they're all filmed. And then you end up with something like this. It's a little rough, but you get the idea. I continued adding details like tracing paper and sketching paper here and there to add some shadows, details, different variations in the body. I was unsure about the lines on the face and stuff. I thought about coloring it with Sharpie or pen, but I decided against it and just let the pencil lines shine through. And I decided to do 6 extra birds because I felt like it. So I'm here ready to record filming the birds, and I created this little backdrop for them. It's made out of parchment paper and foam board, and this will diffuse the light of the LED and create a nice flat background so I can edit them in easily. Put the mugs there. Gonna work. And then yeah, I think that'll work. Here. I actually kind of like this green the best. I might go with this instead of that teal color I was thinking. Put one in. 1 down, 9 to go. This is how I did the first animation too, except I did the whole light box first. And I think this will be a lot better because I won't have to struggle with getting everything in focus. Because that was really annoying last time that, like, either the cyborg was in focus, or the trees were in focus, or the bird was in focus, and none of them at once. And that really annoyed me because I wanted everything to be sharp and nothing was. So I think this method will be a lot better, even though it might be more time consuming. But yeah, that was all 10 of them. Now time to put them on the computer and see how they look. So that's where I left off the month, and I'm going to continue posting monthly updates of the progress I made for this project. And if you want to support me on Patreon, check out the link down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!